Let's go now. A little life out here. What the hell's going on out here? Hey, what about that now?
Hello everybody, welcome to the UK Packers podcast. As usual, I'm your host, that's DDNFL on Twitter, and of course follow the group at UK Packers. And it's time for the old quick snaps. Oh me lordy, are you doing it, lads? Ladies, you doing it? You doing it? Hold on. Oh, I can hear you do it. Let me know if you do it, will you? If you're in your car and you're doing it and we're doing it together. Listen, this is going to be a quick one. And we're going to lay an awful lot of things to bed here, and I think this is the sort of comeback game. It rights the ship. But before I get into all of that, the Dublin Huddle event is happening on Saturday. I could not be more excited. I had someone ask me, am I going to it? A little bit more than that, I'm actually hosting the bloody thing, right? So it's going to be me and Ryan Grant on stage doing Q&As. I'll be leading, Packers related events and activities and games and giveaways and prizes and all that. We've been planning this now for a couple of months, and there's been weekly calls. We've been getting everything together, back and forth. So look, there's an awful lot of work that's gone into this, and the Packers have done this absolutely right. They've got the right people on the job. Everyone behind the scenes is amazing, and they're really taking the Irish sort of aspect of it very seriously. They don't see Ireland as just a tack on to the UK. They want to do this right. And saying that, I have a really special sort of, thing behind the scenes, little event that I'm going to do, which ties up that whole linkage very, very well. I'd love to see you there in the night. To get tickets, you need to go to the NFL One Pass app, which is the first time I've downloaded it. So you download that and you go through the various steps. If you go to packers.com/Ireland, it'll come up and give you instructions. There's a PDF there for all of the stuff that you need to do. And it's not actually as hard as you think it is. Now, you can rock up on the night if that doesn't work for you. And we'll get you in, no problem. It's going to be a great event, it really will. And then I'll be doing the London one, which is, so I'm going to have Ryan Grant at the one in 2 days, or tomorrow if you're listening to it. And then we have Scott Wells, the centre, in the one for London that happens, start of October. So it's going to be amazing. It's the Packers' official launch in this country, and I couldn't be more proud to be a Packers fan. I'm proud to represent the organisation, and of course the UK Packers, UK and Irish Packers at these events. Love to see you there. Anyway, moving on. This is going to be, no, do you know what? This is going to be a fantastic game for the Green Bay Packers. We've never lost in this stadium since it's been built. We are the Niners to our Packers. We are the, Seattle Seahawks back in the day to our Packers. We are the, just keep on going back and picking the big opponent for the Packers. Of course, it's never been the Bears until you want to go back to like the 20s, 80s probably. But, we have everything going in our favour here. I'm absolutely flabbergasted that the amount of people calling for Matt LaFleur's head and for Jeff Hafley to step on. I'm not joking here. Jeff Hafley to step up into the head coaching position, and that these are on the hot seat, and that the O-line is awful, and that he's negligent for Zach Tom's injury and all this type of stuff. Right? The Packers don't do anything unless the doctors clear him. I'm not going to bat for Matt LaFleur and, just whatever. But the thing is that, like, it's not as simple as Matt going, let's play, and then they do, and then something happens. And as well as that, we hear it, so he's fine. Now, not fine, he's not going to play, but it's fine. But look, the game, this all hinges on the fact that the Cowboys are, absolutely hemorrhaging points at any phase, whether they're at home or away from home. They've come up against the Eagles. They lost 24-20. They come up against the Giants. They won 40-37, and that was to Russell Wilson, who's since been benched. And then they went to Soldier Field and got beaten by the Bears. Now, I could stop and say they got beat by the Bears 31-14, which is proof enough that they're garbaggio, right? But they're missing CeeDee Lamb. They're missing offensive linemen. On the defensive side of the ball, they get no pass rush on opposing quarterbacks. And that tees up to allow the Packers to do as they will. I think the Packers defense hold Dak Prescott and friends. And this is all, the one caveat that I would have here is I still think, and we haven't been tested a whole lot, right? But I still think that the Achilles heel potentially for this defense is tight end. Not only that, but the Cowboys have a great running back in Javonte Williams. He's on pace to do crazy numbers this year. He has a 5.3 average per play, so he's obviously a dangerous guy. CeeDee Lamb is missing, but they will spread the ball around to the tight end, Jake Ferguson. And in fact, Jake Ferguson has the most targets and receptions on his team, even with CeeDee Lamb healthy. Now, he doesn't have the most amount of yards, but that will just show you that when Dak Prescott wants to sort of leak out and have that safety valve, he goes to Jake Ferguson, and that's where I think the Packers are vulnerable in this game. We can't forget about George Pickens either. And the fact that Javonte Williams is quite capable of pulling down a catch. In fact, when he goes in for receptions, he's got 15 targets, 13 receptions for 59 yards for 4.5 average. So again, this Dallas Cowboys offense could be dangerous in not the big playability, although Jake Ferguson is quite well capable of, getting downfield as well. He's a nimble and fast guy, big-bodied dude. So if we're just depending on getting that pressure up front, and we will get pressure up front because their O-line is going to be really struggling, both injuries and just general play. And then you come up against Rashan Gary, Lucas Van Ness, of course, Micah Parsons, and that big talking point of him coming back home to Dallas. Look, it's stacked in our favour defensively versus their offense. There couldn't be a better opportunity. The Packers are also coming off a disappointing loss to the Cleveland Browns, but I will absolutely pump the brakes and caveat that and say we come up against the best defense in the NFL. I mean, Myles Garrett and friends. I mean, they have a whole cast of players there that did a fantastic job. The real acid test for them is facing us, getting that win, and then going up against the Lions. But remember, they brought the Ravens close for 3 quarters. They could have beaten the Bengals. They kept us close and just nipped it, even though we had a chance to win it in the end. And let's see what they can do against the Detroit Lions this week. And that will give you a real indicator of exactly what this Cleveland Browns team are capable of. Now, if they put a stout defense up against the Lions and they beat them or keep them to a close score, I think you can look back retrospectively and say about the Packers, well, maybe we weren't that bad. And I think this is a perfect storm for the Packers against the Dallas Cowboys, in the sense that, the Dallas Cowboys can't get any pass rush going. And if that's the case, and they also give up big plays in the back end. So, this is the Tucker Kraft breakout game. I'd expect Luke Musgrave to come down with some. Matthew Golden has another gilt-edged opportunity to do his thing. So I think that if Jordan Love has the time behind his O-line, and I think the O-line will be much improved, to put this into perspective, right? Elton Jenkins had Aaron Donald in his pocket before. That's how good Elton Jenkins is. But even he had a nightmare of a game against the Browns. So that's not saying that the entire offensive line is inept of talent and they can't do their job. They come up against a very, very, very good, the best defense, in fact, in the NFL. And of course, they're going to struggle, right? Not only that, they had moving parts. Jordan Morgan had a nightmare. Elton Jenkins had a bit of a nightmare. When your best players on your O-line have a tough game, it's either because they're very off form or the defense is fantastic and is attacking all the right spots. And that's what happened with this Cleveland Browns team. So I'm not down on this team at all. I think it's ridiculous that the Packers have fallen down the power rankings. And I'd be interested to see what the Browns can do with the rest of the season, taking into account if there's any injuries and all that. Of course, their Achilles heel is their offense. So their defense will keep them in games, but their offense can't close it out. But Joe Flacco, and this isn't the Cleveland Browns podcast, but he's also capable. I mean, the guy's won the Super Bowl, right? So he's an old man now and he's got a Zimmer frame and all that is true, but he's not absolutely abysmal. So with this Dallas Cowboys team, between the Micah Parsons revenge game, which will all fall away and I can't wait for it to do, the pressure we're going to get on Dak Prescott, the danger is Jake Ferguson and George Pickens, and also giving up big run plays, pass plays to Javonte Williams, who's doing really well this year. Dak Prescott got paid an awful lot of money. He gets an awful lot of sledging and people saying he's this, that and the other, but he's 71.4% completion percentage, which is ridiculous. So again, he's a highly capable quarterback. But this all comes down to me is that the Packers can have big plays against this team. They can go into a stadium where we've had great success. Our defense are going to get after Dak Prescott even more so to give him absolutely zero time to get things going. And I think this should be and would be and will be a rout for the Packers. And fair enough, if I'm wrong, come back and slag me off and say I'm this, that and the other. But I think this has the potential to holding Dallas to some garbage time scores and for us putting up massive plays on the Dallas Cowboys. Because if there's one quarterback that's really good at doing it, it's Jordan Love. You can look at the stats. And if there's one head coach that's really good at designing those plays, it's Matt LaFleur. He's been doing it since he got to Green Bay under Aaron Rodgers. So if you give him time behind the O-line, which I expect to happen, It's perfect because the Packers have been much maligned. I mean, they've been dragged through the media now for the last week about how useless they are and how bad they are and we didn't realise blah, 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 which I don't think is true. And I think this is where they come out to make a statement. And what a better way to make a statement than against a team who's struggling both offensively, defensively and with injuries. You know? So to me, the Packers could easily drop a 50 burger. I do expect us to get up around 30 points plus. And I expect us to hold them definitely below 20, 21. So anyway, come out and see us in Dublin. We're there on behalf of the Green Bay Packers. Loads of Packers brass in the building on the night. It's got the might of the Green Bay Packers organisation, and you know it's going to be run really, really well, and there's so many cool surprises for you. But I've been at STD NFL. We are the UK Packers. We'll hopefully see you on Saturday in Dublin, or at the game on Sunday. We'll be doing content outside the stadium, and I expect to be getting on the podcast and talking about how right I was about how we racked up the mad scores in the Dallas Cowboys. But anyway, until then, go Pack Go.